Does Pace Morby, yeah, this Pace Morby, does he give you bad advice? The creative finance guy, does he even understand seller finance? Yeah, he does. He understands it extremely well. Pace Morby is the type of guy to give you $20 for your birthday, but in principal only payments of $1.67 every single month. What I'm trying to say is Pace Morby understands seller finance, and in this video, I'm going to cover the two ways that Pace Morby pitches seller finance to sellers and real estate agents, and then at the end of this video, I'm going to explain to you how I pitch seller finance. Completely different than Pace Morby. So at the end of this video, you'll have three different ways to pitch seller finance. You will be armed with an arsenal of seller finance. You'll be able to close any seller finance deal. Do you want to listen to Pace or do you want to listen to me? Probably Pace, but let's see. Give me a shot here. So what is seller finance in real estate? Well, let's let Pace Morby explain it with his first story, his legendary F-150 story.
I am going to go put this on Craigslist for $10,000. Just like you saw on Zillow that Zillow says this property was worth 100, you went and put this on the market for 110. She goes, yeah, you're right. Like, I just know people are going to lowball me. I wanted to protect myself a little bit. And I go, okay, no problem. Why don't we figure out how I can get you to your $110,000 number, just like I figured out how to sell my truck for exactly what I wanted. I said, so I go to Craigslist and I list my truck on Craigslist for $10,000. Did I sell that truck, Susan, for $10,000? She's like, yes. And I go, no, I didn't. I didn't even get a phone call. 3 months goes by, okay? 3 months goes by, I don't get a phone call, a text. I don't even get somebody being angry with me and saying, who the hell do you think you are trying to sell this truck for $10,000? I just thought, like, literally nobody reached out to me for 3 months. So my wife comes into the story and my wife says, hey, this is Laura. And she says, hey, sweetheart, that truck is in the driveway. And every day I come home, I got to kind of navigate around it in the driveway. Is there any way you could get that truck sold as fast as possible? I'm like, babe, what the heck do you want me to do? I don't think it's worth $5,000. And if I put it on Craigslist for $5,000, which is what Kelley Blue Book says it's worth, I'm just going to get lowballed and somebody's going to come in and say, oh, an all cash offer for $3,000. And I said, Susan, does that sound like what's happening to you? She says, yes, that's exactly what's happened to me. If I put it for 100, which is what Zillow says it's worth, I would even get lower cash offers. I go, there you go. So here's what I figured out. I'm sitting there with my wife, and my wife stops and she says, well, aren't you the creative finance guy? And I go, yeah. And my wife says, well, why don't you just sell it and take payments for it? And I'm like, okay, yeah, why didn't I think of that? So I literally go back to Craigslist and I change one thing. I literally change one thing. I said, I kept my price at $10,000. This is what I said. I said, will take payments. Susan, do you think I sold that truck for $10,000? And she was like, probably. I go, I actually sold that truck for $12,500. And I found a gentleman named Jose who gave me $1,000 as a down payment, and he owed me $11,500, which he made $350 payments to me for the next 4 years. What I actually received on this $12,000 was $15,000 plus on a truck that Kelley Blue Book told me was only worth $5,000. And then all of a sudden, Susan says, I understand creative finance.
So there you have it. That is how the legend himself explains seller finance to people. And it makes perfect sense. It is such a good way to pitch seller finance. So why don't I use it? Well, there's a few reasons. One, it's a little bit long. Yes, you can summarize the story. Let me summarize it real quick. Hey, my friend was selling an F-150 on Craigslist. I wish Pace Morby was my friend. I don't know him. My friend was selling an F-150 on Craigslist and he wanted $10,000 cash. He wanted his number, but he couldn't get $10,000 cash and everybody just kept lowballing him. Hey, I'll give you $6,000, $7,000, or $8,000. He wanted 10. So what did he do? He changed one simple thing. He said on his ad, will take payments. And guess what? He sold his truck and he sold it the next day, not for $10,000, but for $12,500. Why? because somebody was willing to offer him more money if he was willing to finance the truck to them, if he was willing to seller finance the truck. So that's the pitch. That was the whole pitch. Pace Morby spent more time explaining it in depth, but I bet you if he's on a phone call, that's pretty much what he's going to say. Takes about 60 seconds to explain. It's a really good pitch. I don't use it on calls. If I'm like on a second or third call, I'll use it. It's more to me a personable story, something when you already have a good relationship with the seller. But if you're just out cold calling and you're like, ring, 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 hi seller, will you do seller finance? What's that? What do you want? Oh, do you have do you want to hear my F-150 story, sir? They're like, what the heck? So it's a little tough to fit into a conversation unless you already have the conversation rolling. So what do you do then? Well, Pace Morby, he has a second option. Let me give you that one. Hey, seller, I don't want to insult you, but did you know that you're sort of at the bottom of the totem pole? Yeah, you're at the bottom. You're the landlord. That's the bottom of the totem pole. You have to deal with tenants and toilets and all this stuff. Don't you want to be the bank who sits at the top of the totem pole? Why do you think the bank makes so much money? Why do all banks have an eagle as their logo? Because they sit at the top of the totem pole. What I want to do to you, seller, is upgrade you from landlord to bank. That's his big pitch. He uses that all the time. It's so good. I want to upgrade you from landlord to bank. I use that all the time. He sometimes uses the totem pole story, but sometimes he just says, I want to upgrade you from landlord to bank. I want to write you a mortgage. I want to make you the bank and give you payments with interest every single month. I want to give you much more money for your property, but over time. That's the pitch. He likes to use stories to make things more familiar to people, like the F-150 story, like the totem pole reference, which is pretty cool. But all in all, the pitch is the same. I want to upgrade you from landlord to bank, pay you more money, but in monthly installment payments. So great. So those are his two clever ways, and now you know a little bit more about the verbiage. What do I do when I'm on a call? You ready? Drum roll. How I pitch seller finance is like winning the lottery. I use the story of winning the lottery as my F-150 story, as my totem pole reference. So here we go. Hey seller, you're selling your home. You're winning the lottery. You're about to get a huge payday. And when you win the lottery, you can take payments one of two different ways. You can take the cash lump sum payment where you get cash now, but you get a lot less of it. Or you can take the second option, the more financially efficient way. You can take your lottery winnings over time in payments where you get much more money, but over time. That's the pitch. That's it. That's all I do. I just compare it to the lottery. And for some reason, it just works so well on calls. People are like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And I think it has to do with the fact that everybody knows that when you win the lottery, you go bankrupt, and everybody's always like, dude, why don't they take the payment option? Every time they get all this cash now, it's such a bad decision. They know that seller finance is good. They just don't understand what seller finance is. So you explain it by saying, you know the lottery, you know the payment option is better. You're selling your house. That's like winning the lottery. So why don't you take the payment option on your house? And then they're like, oh, okay, let's do that. That's it. That's my pitch. I haven't seen anybody else use that pitch. That is my gift to you. So now you are armed with an F-150 story, a totem pole reference, and a lottery story. Man, you got everything you need to go pitch seller finance to sellers. Is this not hype? Are you not excited? Am I the only one who's so pumped right now to like grab my phone and start dialing and be like, hey seller, wow, you have such a beautiful property. You know what? I purchase homes with seller finance. Are you familiar with what that is? I don't want no lease options. I'm not interested in any of that. I totally understand. If you just give me 30 seconds of your time, please let me explain, because I really do believe this is a great solution for you. Okay. Sir, you're selling your house, right? You're about to get a big payday. You're winning the lottery. Okay, yeah, I'm winning the lottery, yeah. So do you want cash now, but a lot less of it? I'm sure you've gotten lowball cash offers, right? You know, what have these lowball cash offers been? 60, 70% of your asking price? Yeah, a bunch of jerks. Yeah, right? So what if I offered you your full price offer? I paid all the closing costs, all the agent fees, but you take the second option when you're winning the lottery. The payment option. You know, when you win the lottery, you can choose to take the money in payments. The more financially effective decision. Okay, I'm listening. So what if I did seller financing where I paid you your full asking price, I came up to your price. That's another trick Pace Morby uses. I came up to your price. Very, very good verbiage there. Use that. I came up to your price. I made you the bank. I upgraded you from landlord to bank. And I pay you in monthly payments of XYZ. Few $100s a month, few thousand, depending on what deal you're working. I pay you a few $100s per month for a few years. And we go from there. That's it. That's the pitch. That's all you have to do. Just get on the phone and start calling. It's not scary. People are going to be receptive to your idea. At first, they're going to be like, no, I'm not interested. No. But if you explain it well, you will convince them. Not because you're forcing it down their throat, but because to most sellers, this is the best option. Unless they need all the cash and they need it right now because they're going to put a huge down payment on their house, or they're building a house and they need the cash, or I have no idea. I don't know why you would need that much cash. They want to put it in their bathtub and swim in it. Unless they're doing that, seller finance lets the money work for them. It's a much better option. So if you explain it well, you will convince the seller. It comes down to that. And if the seller is not convinced, you didn't explain it well. That's the truth of the matter. But now you are armed with an F-150 story, a totem pole reference, this great verbiage about upgrading you to the bank and going up to your price, and my lottery story. Choose one of the three and go get it. Get on those phones and go make some deals. Thank you so much. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to Pace Morby, I don't know what you're doing. Subscribe to him. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.